would rather spray tan my butthole than get it waxed.
Smoking pot, riding a horse. It sounds fun.
It sounds fine. It sounds scary as heck to me, but yeah, it could be fun. Saddle or not, I've never been on a horse. I only ride horses side saddle anyways. M. Night. Knock it off.
That's going to be a shit.
You stop it right now. You stop it.
You stop.
You go to your room, M. Night Shyamalan. You go to your room.
Think about what you've done.
That's a bad M. Night. That's a bad M. Night.
Hello and welcome to episode number 348 of the Nation of Conversation. I am your solo host, Ryan, here tonight. Our boys, they've been sucked away by the local fair, so I'm giving them Labor Day off. They can go and enjoy themselves, but I request a week-old bloomin' onion, and I request a trophy for the longest tractor pull. Nothing really happened in wrestling, so it's a great week for them to miss. Oh, wait! The greatest pay-per-view in North American history happened last night. AEW All Out. We knew it was going to be an important one. We knew it was going to be a big one. And it delivered on both of those things. We did pick it. Bill's going to have to update us next week on our current standings of where we're at. But I'm just going to go over All Out, what happened, what I thought, what I think is going to happen from here. We will skip the segment to be named later. We'll be skipping the what's this shit going for on eBay, because I'll just save it for next week. And we're going to skip most of the heels review. I'm just going to talk about heels a little bit, I think. That's what I think about heels in general. And then I'll do a couple quick hitters and we'll get out of here. And then next week we'll return with our review of heels, what our standings were, and maybe we'll make some G1 selections next week, because G1 was announced today or the day before. So let's jump into this. So All Out, I was very excited to watch this pay-per-view. Most AEW pay-per-views I'm pretty excited about. Most takeovers I have been fairly middling excited about, but this one was taking it to a whole nother level. We had Best Friends and Jurassic Express defeat the Hardy Family Office. I didn't watch that match. That was on the buy-in, so I didn't have it on that fast. So I skipped that one. I'm not even sure if I picked that one, to be honest. I don't think I did. So I'm going to get a 0 on that one. Great. Miro versus Eddie Kingston. This was something that came together fast on AEW Weekly TV. Miro basically was crapping on Fuego del Sol, and then Eddie Kingston came out and ruined his moment. So that sort of was like a 2-week feud. It was a very quick turnaround, but it was fun. So I was excited to watch these guys. And I'm pretty sure everybody picked Miro to kill Eddie Kingston, and he beat him. But it was a good match. Eddie had a fun moment on Rampage leading up to the match where he said, "Redeem D's nuts," which was really fun. Which is already a shirt. It's funny how quickly that he says that, and then it's a shirt already. So Miro won. Probably the right move. I don't see Eddie being the guy to dethrone the god. Sip of beer for the working man. So Miro is going to hold on for a while. Not sure who the right person is to beat Miro. Maybe it's one of these new guys. Maybe it's Brian, or maybe it's Punk. Punk did talk about Miro saying that the last thing he did in WWE was the 2014 Rumble, and Rusev beat his ass, basically in storyline. It was his first Rumble, so Punk wanted him to look good, so he said, kick the shit out of me. So maybe there's something there. Maybe Punk and Miro is something. Maybe Bryan and Miro, if you don't want to go WWE. Retread, kind of. Not necessarily a retread, but WWE guys versus WWE guys. You could see maybe Cole. I don't think Cole and Miro have ever faced off. Maybe you could do something like that. One of the new guys coming in. Anyway, Miro defeated Eddie Kingston. I'm pretty sure we all swept it, but I'm not positive. Jon Moxley had his match against a New Japan legend, which at least me, kind of thought was going to be Okada or somebody like that. So when the match was announced and it was Bread Club Kojima, I like Bread Club. I probably like Bread Club more than most people and like most American fans. I enjoy him, but he's over 50 and his best days are behind him for sure. But he looked good in the ring. Him and Moxley had their match. Moxley came down in a GCW hooded sweatshirt, which I thought was cool. He won the GCW title, which I'll talk about a little later, a couple nights before this pay-per-view. So he just comes out in a GCW sweatshirt, which was fun. He beats Kojima. They have basically your classic strongman New Japan style match. So, solid, fine, no issue, great. And then as this match was going on, I'm just thinking to myself, there's got to be a second part to this. Like, there's got to be a second part to this. He's not just going to beat Kojima and then have nothing happen. Like, they're going to set something up. They're going to do something else here. Something else is going to happen. And sure enough, we heard the best wrestling entrance song in the world, maybe. It's up there for sure. The Minoru Suzuki theme song started playing, and I thought the announcers were pretty damn good on this show. There were a couple of mistakes, but the way that they sold all these debuts, I thought they did a great job. It was like, holy shit, what? That can't be. This isn't right. There's no way it's Minoru Suzuki. And sure enough, it's Minoru Suzuki. And he comes out and he beats up Moxley. They have like a standoff where they punch each other and laugh. And then Moxley gets hit with the gotcha pile driver. And I think that Suzuki's doing something with Moxley soon. If he's not going to be doing something with him on Wednesday or Friday maybe, it definitely will happen in the future. Because he's in America, so why not just do it? Just do something. So Moxley has an awesome moment, doing some cool-ass shit, fighting with Minoru Suzuki. An awesome moment. And coming out to the New Japan theme and all that. And everybody was the crowd was super into it, and you wouldn't maybe necessarily think that everybody knows who he is, but they did. Seemed like they did, so I enjoyed that. I think we all picked Moxley to win. Pretty sure. Brit Baker, a champion, versus Chris Statlander. I thought this was a little bit hot-shotted. I thought Statlander maybe should have been held off a little longer because Brit can't lose right now. It's too early for her to lose. She's just so over. It doesn't make any sense for her to lose. But Statlander is like the person who should beat her. That's what I think anyway. Statlander or Thunder Rosa are definitely the person that should beat her for the title at some point. So it did kind of like, okay. She's going to get beat. She's going to look good, I'm sure. She's going to make Britt look good. It's all going to work out fine. It did. It was very good match by Britt. Very good match by Statlander. I think I saw somebody, I can't remember who it was. It was probably Voices of Wrestling say this was probably Britt's best match on TV, which I don't know if I agree with that because the Thunder Rosa match was really good. That was a really good match. So it's close. It's close. It's on that level. I don't know if it's better than that one personally, but This Voice of Wrestling, they also said that it was probably Statlander's best match on TV, and I definitely agree with that. Statlander's had a lot of squash matches. She got hurt. She had the weird match with Nyla. Like she's been fine, but we've seen her on the indies be able to do way more. So I think this was one of the first stepping stones into, yeah, this is actually, she's going to the next level here. So a couple moments in the match that were fun. Statlander getting yelled at, like pumped up by Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy like completely getting all fired up and firing her up to get back in the ring on a 10 count. I thought that was really cool. Brit Baker hitting the Panama Sunrise, which is Adam Cole's move, basically teasing that he's definitely coming and maybe coming tonight, which was that was fun. That was fun. But they did a great job. I thought the match was good. So, good on both of them. I'm pretty sure Brit Baker is a sweep. I'm almost positive it's a sweep, but maybe not. Match of the night for me. Not moment of the night, but match of the night. Lucha Brothers. First of all, Lucha Brothers' entrance. When they came out with that song, that was fucking awesome. That was so good. They come out and they have crazy, like, huge masks on and stuff, and the song was awesome. It was a live performance. I don't know who the guys were. I apologize, but live performance. It was fucking awesome. So good. And then the Bucks and the Bros had another just classic. These guys literally, if the one a chant I hate, a chant I never like, the Fight Forever chant, this applies for me to these guys, because it's like every single time they faced each other, all the way from PWG, the stuff in Mexico, anything they've done in Ring of Honor or wherever. I guess the Lucha Bros weren't in Ring of Honor, but anything these teams have done together, fucking awesome. So good. And this was awesome. It was a cage match. The Young Bucks brought out the Tack Jordan again, which they haven't had since PWG when they kicked Candice LeRae in the face with a tacked shoe. So that was awesome to see that come back. It also bit them in the ass. They did kick both guys, but then they eventually got hit with it themselves. I think Nick did. And then Ray Phoenix doing Ray Phoenix stuff, doing a crossbody off this giant-ass fucking cage, which appears to be like 40 feet in the air. The AEW cage is much taller than the WWE cage usually is, so him jumping off that thing, pretty damn awesome. Lucha Brothers got the win. They deserve the tag team titles. It was great. Very, very good. We'll see how long they can hold it for, but it was in the moment. It's almost like it was... I'm sure that they had this planned. But it felt like, oh yeah, the crowd's going to pop big time for the Lucha Bros beating the Bucks here. Let's just do that. It almost felt like an old school 70s, like, let's switch the finish in the middle of the match because the crowd's eating it up. So, but I doubt that. I highly doubt that. I think the Lucha Bros were definitely set up to win. Once they came out with the big entrance, you kind of can tell, like, oh, something is happening here. And they sold their asses off. They got hit with the spiked shoe and all that. Like, it was kind of set up for them to win from the very beginning. So they got the win. There was so much stuff in this match. This is one of those ones that I have to go back and literally, like, just watch this and, like, zone in on this. Because it's kind of hard to... Sometimes these pay-per-views, you're thinking about all the who's going to interfere and what's going to happen and what am I going to say on the show the next night and blah, 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 blah. And you're not totally just, like, locked into some of this stuff sometimes. But so I got to go back and rewatch this one. But everything that happened, it was fucking awesome. As everybody knows, I'm a massive Bucks fan. I'm a massive Young Bucks fan. Basically everything they do I've enjoyed since we started this show and I figured out who they were. I remembered who they were because I remember them in TNA, but they didn't do much in TNA. They were just kind of cool high flyers who weren't around very long. But basically everything they've done, since we did the show, started the show, has been incredible for me. So I got to go back and watch this. I got to believe this is going to be a 5-star match. I got to believe it's got to be a 5-star match. It was fucking great. Good psychology. Pentagon Jr. saving Ray Phoenix a bunch of times, taking extra moves. This match was great. Pentagon and his daughter at the end. He comes out all bloody. He picks up his daughter, gives her a big hug. That was cool. It's got to be a 5-star for me, but we'll see. Next up was the Women's Casino Battle Royal. These are always kind of weird for me because I am a big fan of the Royal Rumble and the way people get their entrance moment. And in the Casino Battle Royal, it's 4 people at a time, and they kind of never really seem to catch the person correctly. You know, when Anna Jay came back, which was nice, but then we kind of like skip over the other people that are coming in after her. So that always kind of screws me up a little bit with like who's in there, who's not, and like who's coming in this suit and all that. But I do like that it's different. I like that it's like a different take on the Battle Royal where you can have, you can kind of set things up differently, and it's not the exact same thing as a Royal Rumble. So I do like that, and I like the wild card, and they used it to absolute perfection here, because the wild card was Ruby Soho, who we had last week on the show kind of talked about it potentially being Ruby Soho. I think Bill picked TBA, maybe Wally did. I picked Thunder Rosa. But it was Ruby Soho, came in and won. Wouldn't be surprised if Thunder and Ruby have a feud at some point. It looked like Thunder was pissed in like a heelish kind of way. Like, you took my moment, Ruby, what the fuck? When she was carried out after she got dumped. I think that could happen. But Ruby won. It was awesome. She had the Rancid theme song, which was fantastic. I said best theme song in the world, Minoru Suzuki, but Rancid as your fucking theme song is pretty awesome. It's your walkout song. You can't really beat that. And especially if it's in your name. Like, incredible thing. She came out, she won. She got a huge pop. She looked great. She is awesome. We haven't seen her be that awesome, to be honest. We haven't seen her be that awesome since she went to WWE. Even in NXT, I don't think she ever had anything quite on this level. A star-making performance quite on this level. We know she can go. She's been in the independents for like 15 years before she joined WWE, so we know she has the ability to go. We know she's got the experience and all that. It just never really seemed like she had stuff to do, and she did. I enjoyed the Riot Squad and all that and their story. For sure. I liked all that. But was that meaningful on the television show? No, it wasn't. Like, it was cool. Behind the scenes, it was nice to see them be friends and all that, and it was fun. Their chemistry was fun, but they didn't win anything. Ruby didn't do anything. Like, they were fun on TV. Sure, they did a good job on TV, but she didn't win anything. And this is a spotlight entrance and a spotlight win for her, and she's going to have a championship match against Brit Baker, which is going to be fun. Interesting to see when that'll happen, if that's going to happen on TV or if that's going to happen at Full Gear. They're going to stretch this as long as possible and put it on Full Gear. Sometimes they do stuff where they surprise me. In this situation, I would think you'd stretch it to Full Gear in November, but because that's not really that long. You can build a nice program here. You could do that, but they sometimes hotshot things. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I feel like their hotshotting kind of takes away from their pay-per-view a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's a nice match on a Dynamite that is a fun watch and it's exciting, and then we have another exciting match at the next pay-per-view. So I could totally see that happening. I don't think Ruby Soho is going to beat Brit yet. I don't think Brit should lose it for a long, long time. Maybe a year, maybe more. We got to kind of build up a challenger here. Maybe that's why Ruby would do it on TV and lose via some shenanigan from Jamie Hayter and have to work her way back to get it back. Maybe Thunder costs her it. She's got the match won, and she's got to go to Thunder and have a feud with her before she can clear that off of her books and then go to face Brit at Double or Nothing, maybe something like that. But I don't know. I liked it. I liked it, enjoyed it. My favorite moment of this whole thing, though, was when she won. She dumped out. She dumped Thunder out, and then she looked up, and Bryce Remsburg, longtime referee on the Independents, who did a bunch of stuff with her in Chikara for sure, and other places. She looks up and she just goes, like with tears in her eyes, "Hey, Bryce," and gives him a big hug. That was awesome. That was a great moment. And I am excited to see what she can do. What like a perfect signing. Like you couldn't mess this up. You couldn't mess this up. We'll talk about it at the end, but there's some stuff with AEW where it's like, I've been saying for a long time, wrestling ain't rocket science. It's kind of just pretty simple. You know, you get the chance to bring in Ruby Soho, you do it. She comes in, she wins a battle royal, of course. There's a lot of that going on in this show. Like, it's not the most surprising thing, but it's also the right thing to do, and you just do the right thing. And then the more times you do the right thing, the more you're gonna get paid off for it. Like, and then when you do the swerve or whatever, it's gonna be that much more impactful because it's gonna be a real knife in the back when you realize, oh, so and so's turned heel. You know, that was a surprising finish or whatever. There's gonna be those things. There's gonna be those things for sure. But so she won. She'll face Brit. Chris Jericho versus MJF for Chris Jericho's career, the fifth labor of Jericho. So he had to defeat people like Nick Gage in a death match, Juventud Guerrero with a move from the top rope, Wardlow. Who else? There was somebody else. Oh, Shawn Spears. I always fucking forget about Shawn Spears. For not only as a wrestler, but also for the purposes of the labors of Jericho. Anyway, Jericho defeated MJF after MJF looked like he had won, but Jericho's foot was on the rope. And we had to have the old-fashioned ref come down, change the finish, and restart the match kind of a thing. Which is a classic. It's a classic. It was done well. I don't want to see Jericho retire. I know other people do. I don't. I like what he's doing in AEW. I may not like him outside of AEW, but I think in the ring, things that he's done, what he's brought to the table, he brings a lot to the table. He still does. And as much as I disagree with other people about his commentary abilities, I think he would be a fun commentator if you put him in the right position. Not with four other guys specifically, but I think he's a future amazing commentator, potentially. If he gets a little work and reps in, like, he could be great. But I don't think it's time. I think he still has enough gas in the tank to keep it going. I'm curious. So now MJF loses to Jericho. I'm curious what MJF is going to do, because basically for maybe more than a year, he's been tied at the hip to Jericho. Either his partner or turned on him or whatever. He has done nothing but do stuff with Jericho. We've got we had the Pinnacle, we had versus the Inner Circle, and multiple ridiculous, crazy matches. I just wonder what MJF's next move is going to be, because you would think he's still going to do something with Jericho, for sure, for a little while anyway, because he's got the big faction, and Jericho's got the big faction, so you would think there'd be more there to keep going, and he can always say that Jericho cheated because he pinned him, and the ref overturned it, and it's not his fault, and blah, 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 blah. So it's not like it really hurts MJF to lose this match, considering he tapped Jericho out a couple weeks ago. You know. Well, that was the fifth labor of Jericho, wasn't it, when he tapped him out? Anyway, he tapped him out, so that already happened. CM Punk versus Darby Allin. This is the one most people were fired up to see and fired up to see what was going to happen. Would CM Punk be able to... What would he look like? What would he wrestle like? Could he keep up? You know, is he in shape? Those kinds of things. Questions about his ability after being off for 7 years. What's going to happen? And pretty much all questions were answered in a positive way. I would say he came out with a new kind of look. He had his long tights with the stars. I thought that was nice. His wrestling ability was on point, I would say. He seemed very similar to what he was in 2013 and 14. He's not Kenny Omega. He's not. Let's just be honest. He's not. Was he ever really that great when he was in WWE? Was he ever on that level of like ridiculous match? It was a good match. He looked good. He looked in shape. His gear looked good. His moves looked good. But it was very much a CM Punk match. Him and Darby was a great opponent for him because Darby could bump all over. So it was a perfect opponent for him. It was a babyface match. I thought this was going to be Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid, the very famous babyface versus babyface match that was on Raw. That was an excellent match. If you've never seen that, you need to go watch that match. It was so good. Just an expert babyface versus babyface match. And I thought, just do that match. Just do it over again. It's been, 25 years since that match happened? Like, no, who remembers that match? Let's just do that over again. And not only did they do some of it, they did it like exactly in the very beginning. Punk got hip tossed by Darby Allin and made that exact same face that Bret Hart makes when he gets hip tossed by 1-2-3 Kid, basically saying like, "Oh, this kid's got chops. This kid's got some chops. I'm surprised. He's pretty good." We didn't go all the way, but it was a lot similar to that match. Like I was pleasantly surprised to be right. But also like, oh, this is the right move. So Punk defeated Allin. He shook Sting. Sting was not at ringside. He knew it was a babyface versus babyface match, so he did not need to be around. So he came down and shook CM Punk's hand, and then Darby shook CM Punk's hand, and we all went home happy because Punk won. He looked good. Darby looked good. Darby didn't lose anything because he took Punk to the limit, but he also has, respect for him. So nobody really loses anything here. Everybody just wins in this match. So that was cool. I thought that was fun. Punk looked great. I thought he looked as good as he did in 2014. That doesn't mean that I think he's on the level of somebody like Omega or Okada or anybody like that yet. Doesn't mean he won't reach those heights. He might. This is his first match back. I would say for a first match back in 7 years. It's a pretty big win to be able to do a great job, have a great match, and look like he didn't lose a step at all. But he is 41 years old. And his matches were very... not basic, but they were, technically sound, but not anything crazy. Like, we're not doing dives here. CM Punk's not doing dives. CM Punk's not taking 15 German suplexes in a row at this point. Like, this is not what he is. So he did his thing, but he's CM Punk. He's going to do a CM Punk thing, and that's what he did. And it was very effective here against Darby Allin. So we'll see who's next on his list. Like I said, I thought it might be Miro. Somebody like that. TNT Championship kind of thing. Maybe we build up to that, but he's a huge star. He's going to do huge things. And this is just literally a dip of the toe into the lake here. We just started. So there's a lot that can happen with Punk here. And I think it's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting to see how this works. And I also wonder if we're going to see something like Kenta and Punk, because we have that ability. We have the ability to do that. Kenta was in Jacksonville for that show, and he kicked Moxley. So it's possible we could see that dream match. There's some other things out there that are fun that are possible. And Punk in one of his interviews, one of his press scrum things, he said he's, as exciting as it would be to go to New Japan and all that, he's not interested in doing that right now. He just wants to be an AEW guy and have AEW matches. So maybe the Kenta thing is far off, but I still think that's a possibility. So I think Kenta's been setting that match up for a long, long time because of the GTS thing. So we'll see. I thought it was a good first step. I thought it was good. He's clearly not lost a second off his fastball on promos. And his wrestling seems to be on point. So I think there'll be some fun things down the road. I'm excited. I know not everybody sees the excitement. Not everybody sees the drawing power or whatever. People like Roman Reigns don't understand why Punk draws, but you don't have to worry about it. He's not in your company. You don't have to worry about it. And I do think he moves the needle big time. And I wonder what these buy rates are going to be. Tony Khan said the buy rates are the best buy rates of a pay-per-view ever. I don't know what that means. Is that better than like SummerSlam 98's buy rates or WrestleMania X7's buy rates? I don't know. Certainly in the modern era, it's probably one of the best pay-per-views buy rates of all time. For sure. It's got to be. Popcorn match. Paul White defeated QT Marshall by kicking his ass pretty quickly and squashing him. So, exactly what we thought was going to happen. Little choke slam. QT Marshall's the perfect villain to look stupid and get squashed like that. And that's what happened. So, giving everybody a chance to kind of come down from the Punk match and go into the Omega and Christian Cage match. So, this booking was a little weird for some people because Christian beat Omega on Rampage #1 to get the Impact title. And then Omega was going to again face him here, which is pretty interesting to have that happen. But I thought both men played it well leading into it. Christian did a good job of, imagine that, Christian's good at promos. Christian's good at promos and being good babyface. So they did kind of build this up pretty well, considering it was a little bit screwy setup, considering he already faced him and already lost. But anyway, Omega did win. He defeated Christian Cage. Cage looked good. Christian's looked good in every match he's been in. He has a very unique style of slow build match kind of style, which I think when he's like the only guy doing it, it has its value. We'll see how it works when Punk, Christian, and Bryan are all doing the same kind of style. We'll see how that works. It's worked for him here. Worked for him so far. And I've enjoyed most of the things that Christian has done. Even in the ring, I thought he's looked pretty damn good. Like, he hasn't missed a step either. But he's also a guy who does a certain set of things. You know, he's good at what he does, and he does those things, and he does them well. But he doesn't really step outside of those parameters, and he didn't really too much here. Omega beat him. Some fun table spots in this one. And then the real fun business comes after, because Jurassic Express came out to help Christian Cage from getting a giant beatdown. So, of course, Jurassic Express got beat down. And then Omega cut a promo saying that he is basically out of challengers. There's nobody left. There's nobody left to face him. There's nobody left. Either they don't feel like coming over to AEW, they don't want to try, or they're dead. Lights go out. Adam Cole's new music hits. And this is like, first of all, it's a no-brainer. Another example of a no-brainer. You sign Adam Cole. He's a fucking star. He is incredible. He's still only 32 years old. He's great in the ring. He's amazing on promos. He's like just a blue chipper. Anytime a free agent of that caliber comes free, you just go pick him up. It's pretty simple. You just go grab him and plug him in. And that's exactly what they did here. He has contract. We've been talking about it for weeks. He got offered a big contract. Didn't seem like he wanted it because of all the WWE nonsense you have to deal with. And he was going to be moving up to the main roster most likely. NXT was changing. there really wasn't a lot left for him to do in NXT. There really wasn't anywhere for him to go on the main roster that would have done anything for his career, to be honest. He's a short guy. It shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't. He's proven that he's a money-making star everywhere he's been. Ring of Honor, PWG, NXT. There's no reason to think he wouldn't have been amazing on the main roster if he was handled properly, but he was never going to be handled properly, and he knew that. And even more so, I think the third-party shit, them owning all third-party stuff, was just like, no, I'm not. That's dumb. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to let you own my stuff and take away the things that make me happy. I'm not going to do that when I can go and wrestle and do the exact same stuff with fresh new matchups and old acquaintances and still be able to do my third-party stuff, and nobody's going to care. Like, that's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. He basically said it as much in the post-game press conference, saying, coming here is a no-brainer. It's like, my wife or whatever, my girlfriend is here. I've been around the staff. Like, I know how well they treat people. I was literally a rival person on NXT going head-to-head against the show, and I came in to, like, support Brit at, like, Christmas parties and stuff, and people were super nice to me, like, as if I'm not on that other show. Like, they didn't care. Like, that goes a long way. And, like, they don't give a crap about third-party stuff. Like, just come in and be awesome. And you go do a million vlogs and Twitches or whatever you want. Like, who cares? That's not worth it to us. We're here. We're a wrestling company. We're not worried about what you do playing video games. It's like, you can help us on that end, but we don't need to take that away from you. So he came out. And appeared like he was going to challenge Omega after Omega made that statement. Because on BTE, he was murdered, fake murdered, by drinking a monster with poison in it years ago when he went to WWE. So he came out, and it seemed like he was going to go after Omega and the Bucks. And then this Jungle Boy was getting up from his injuries. He turned and super kicked Jungle Boy, had knocked him down, and then hugged the Bucks, and they kissed him and all that. And he's part of the Elite. And it should have been obvious because he came out of the heel tunnel when he came out. Should have been pretty obvious, but so that happened. Great moment. What a signing. What a moment. Everybody was fired up to see Adam Cole. His music is awesome again. Probably not on the level of Undisputed Era, but his music is very good. Much better than the shitty NXT thing. It's funny because Cole comes out and he does this, and before we get to the next person, it's almost like the nail in the coffin of NXT. It's literally the nail in their death coffin at this point, because the NXT tried to go head-to-head. They tried to beat AEW to the punch by going on USA first. They tried all these things to try to counter-program and all this stuff, it was just annoying. To be honest, it was just annoying. It's like, we could just have NXT on Thursday nights and have it be a great show, and we could have AEW on Wednesday nights and have it be a great show, and we could have it on the network, and we can have it be an hour, and we can enjoy both. There's no reason we can't enjoy both. But they just continuously made it impossible to not put NXT in direct comparison to this show, and it's not the same thing. It was an hour-long show that was good and had nice 4 awesome takeovers a year, and it could have existed easily on its own without being competition to this thing. But they decided to do that, for whatever reason. They put them head-to-head. They got their ass kicked. Let's be honest. They didn't do very well, NXT. And now their top star, one of the best people ever of all time to be on NXT, leaves and goes to AEW. It's the ultimate nail in the coffin of NXT is just dead, and there's no reason soon there will be almost no reason to watch that show. Unfortunately, it's very sad because there's still a lot of great performers on there for now, but So it's almost like a victory lap, and AEW taking another victory lap around NXT. Like, you guys, you never stood a chance. You should never have done it. We could have been on separate nights and did our thing and not worried about it, but you did it and you tried to fuck with us, and this is what you get, almost. But really, it's just Adam Cole's good and awesome and a top talent, and it's ridiculous that they couldn't. They have to worry about third party shit. They can't just make this guy a star on TV. It's ridiculous. It's just so stupid. It's such a flawed piece of logic that WWE has, and it's continually going to bite them in the ass. It's going to continue to bite them in the ass over and over and over again unless they decide to pay people for the rights to their shit, like up, up, down, down. When you start paying people for the rights to their, like, Xavier Woods made up, up, down, down. He made it a success. Then he pitched it to WWE, like, you can own this and we can work together. And then they accepted. And then after that, everyone else saw this, and thought, oh, well, we can do that. We can do that too. We're not on TV. Specifically, Myers and Cardona, the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. They saw this thing and said, let's do that too. And WWE started getting weird about that stuff. And luckily for them, they didn't ever get accepted, because otherwise that wouldn't exist now. But everybody else doing Twitch and all this stuff, like, oh, I'm doing this because Xavier Woods did this. He set the standard, and now we're going to try this because it's acceptable. But no, wait, now nothing is acceptable, which really sucks. Anyway, so Cole came out, they cut their promo about how they're all together in the Elite again and everything's great, and then we're going to send him home happy now, goodbye, good night, bang, and Daniel Bryan comes out. Bryan Danielson shows up to a massive pop, ridiculous pop. Everybody's fired up. He comes down. He doesn't even say anything. He just gets physical and starts beating up Nick Jackson, and we get his JR was great. I think for as critical as we can be of JR, I thought it was great this night, saying, oh, it's a Pier 6 brawl. He was just great. I thought JR was in the moment. He did a great job during Punk's match. He just did great stuff. And Daniel Bryan cleared house, and him and Jurassic Express and Christian stood tall at the end of the night. So I thought that was cool. And I thought the pay-per-view was awesome. I was literally by myself watching it, popping in the basement. Everybody in the house could hear me screaming. And then I stayed, well, not screaming, but you know what I mean, like exclaiming excitement. And then I stayed up for another couple hours watching all the post games. I watched the Ruby Soho and the Adam Cole and most of the Bryan Danielson thing, talking about why they switched places and why they left, and well, Ruby got fired, but why everybody's here and what they're planning on doing and stuff. And it was just a fun watch. Those post games are so good. You can get a lot of information from those. Punk did one too, so it was fun. There's no segment to be named later tonight because I'm a solo bolo here, but the New Japan G1 Climax blocks were announced, so I'm going to go over those real quick. We've got in Block A, Great Khan, Kenta, Kota Ibushi, Shingo, who's your champ, I'm pretty sure, Tongaloa, Naito, Ishii, Yano, Takahashi, and Zack Sabre. We'll probably talk about this again, but I would say Ibushi, Shingo, Naito. Probably the only guys who can come out of there for real. Maybe Great Khan if they want to really go for it. I don't think Kenta would at this point, but maybe Kenta. Zack Sabre should. My God, that guy's been there forever now. He's in the G1 Climax for the 5th time. Maybe we should get Zack moving on up here, but I doubt it. B Block, Chase Owens, Evil, Goto, Tanahashi, Cobb, Okada, Sonata, Taichi, Tama Tonga, and Yoshihashi. I feel like this block is the exact same block we've had before. I feel like this block has happened before. I don't know. Okada, maybe Sonata. I don't know. There's not a lot here. I don't think Evil. Maybe Tanahashi again. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of choices in this one. Yeah. Couple quick hitters. NXT, we talked about their downfall, where they're headed. Vince is now officially in charge with Bruce Pritchard, and there's literally a cut list going around of people they want to get rid of who don't fit their bill. And this makes me think that basically NXT Wednesday Night War and AEW Wednesday Night War are just going to merge into one show. So we already got Cole. I wouldn't be surprised if Gargano, O'Reilly, Ciampa, those dudes don't fit in the plans of what Vince McMahon wants for the show, and all of them get wiped out. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it would be incredibly short-sighted and incredibly stupid to do something like that. But I could totally see all of them getting wiped and sent to AEW because of it. I could totally see it. We talked a little bit about it. Jon Moxley defeated Matt Cardona in a War Game style match for the GCW title as a surprise entrance. So all the stuff Matt Cardona's been doing that have been incredible. He even made the GCW title into a spinner belt, which is so funny. So much fun stuff. He came out dressed as Macho King, but had Deathmatch King written all over his stuff. It was very, very funny. If he never shows up in GCW again, he got his money's worth, and so did GCW, because my God, what a whole angle this was. The angle of the summer. One of the best angles of the year. So much fun. Maybe not the best angle of the year, but just a lot of fun seeing a WWE guy go in there and troll the DCW audience like that and get such a crazy reaction. I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him there ever again. I wouldn't be surprised. Or if he doesn't show up for a couple of years and then he shows up for something. But it was incredible while it lasted. I think he did an incredible job. Reinvented himself a little bit. It was cool. I thought it was really cool. Jon Moxley, your GCW champion, is now going to have a death match against Nick Gage. We know how it went the last time they had a death match against each other. Nick Gage pizza cuttered his face. So we'll see what happens. That'll be fun to watch. I'm sure Ghost Mike will want to see that. We did not do. We're not doing a review tonight because there's nobody here to review this with me. So I'm just going to talk real quick about heels and how I feel it's going. I did not think that the second episode, I'm sure we'll talk more detail about this next time, but I did not think the second episode of Heels was much better. It's still got really cheesy, weird moments. I liked this one because it was talking about wrestling, but we didn't actually see the wrestling. I do like that idea of, like, let's get these characters off the ground. We don't need to see a pro wrestling match in every single episode. I did like that. There were things I enjoyed. I enjoyed the Ace Spade going to the bar where the other wrestler, I forget his name, has like the karaoke, and it's his real like side job, and he gets it all basically ruined for him because Ace comes in all drunk and ruins it for him by being a dick. And we get to see him being a heel and how everyone hated him and how he eventually will be a heel. And then by the end of the episode, he's just like, I'll come back, Jack, if you just don't ever get me booed again. Which is, Jack is totally going to do that because he's an awesome heel, so we could totally make you a heel. And we're going to fuck you over and make you a heel. So there were moments like that were good, but it's still just, there's something off here. I don't know what it is. There's definitely something off. Like, Jack's a bad father. He's not really that likable. He's bad at his, he's at his job being treated like shit by his boss, but also you're a shitty employee showing up 2 hours late to everything. Like, he just gets excused for everything. Like, oh, well, you're a shitty dad and you weren't here to help mow the lawn. Simplest task of all time. You can't just mow the lawn, even though you work at a fucking lawnmower store. You still can't cut your own grass. Like, he's not very likable. I don't think he's supposed to be very likable, but he's not very likable, considering he's the main character. Mike O'Malley was fun in this one, coming out as the Florida Hardcore Championship Wrestling, whatever the hell it's called, FWD, FDW, I don't know, whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, it was fun to see him, but it wasn't really that good of an episode. We'll talk more in detail probably next week about it with everybody, but yeah, heel's not doing it for me so far. Just off, slightly off. It's not a horrible show. It's just not quite there. CM Punk's in the next episode of Heels too, so I'm excited to see if that changes things as a new character. I'm curious to see if Mike O'Malley can bring something to the table here, because he was pretty good in this episode, so we'll see if he can turn things around sort of from his perspective. I don't know. But there's a lot of characters I just don't really enjoy watching. It's weird. But yeah, that's Heels. We'll probably talk more about it next week. But before we get out of here, All Out. It's a great fucking show. Totally go watch it. Go rewatch it. Those clips are going to be iconic. And it's quite a statement to bring in those 4 or 5 people that they brought in. Cole, Danielson, Soho, and even Minoru Suzuki. It's quite a statement. That's quite a love letter. Basically, it's a love letter to pro wrestling. That's what Tony Khan just did. That's what he just pulled off. Just a complete love letter to pro wrestling and whatever, all the things that you love about it in one show. And just, if you didn't, you're falling out of love with it, or you weren't in love with it, this would certainly open your eyes again. But that's it. That's Nation of Conversation, episode number 348. I was your solo host, Ryan. Hope you enjoyed just hearing one person instead of all of us, and more shenanigans will hopefully be here next week. But I enjoyed All Out, and I'm glad we didn't skip a week, so we could just celebrate how good that was. And hopefully more to come. I think there's definitely questions and how these guys are going to be used and how all this talent is going to work together. But I think that so far they have proved to me that they can pull it off. So I'm excited to see Dynamite on Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't draw over 1 million viewers. I would not be shocked if Rampage also did well.